Okay. Alrighty, so we have 8 learners today. So maybe if you 3 would like to stand up and let the camera see you and you can wave. Great. Alrighty, then the next 3 can stand up. Great, and then our final 2. Perfect. Thank you so much to our 8 learners. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to get us connected to this.
Diff. I didn't show it. I know you're going to take the role of Diff Dunn.
Alright, so cool, I'm going to start that again because that was a really rude thing to say to another student, and I will not accept that in my lessons. So if you could...
the naughty corner?
No, you don't go to the naughty corner because this is an adult learning environment, but if you could try your best to not speak to another student like that, that would be really appreciated. Everyone has the right to learn in a peaceful environment here, and it's all their responsibility to do that. Okay?
Well and truly admonished.
Great, thank you. So I'm just going to set this up. Give me one moment. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to our class today. My name is Miranda. I'm going to be teaching our class. We're going to be learning about responding to an emergency situation. So we're going to introduce ourselves soon, but I just wanted to point something out quickly. We do have 2 people with some special needs in our class. So we have Teresa, who has a hearing impairment, and Marloes, who is from the Netherlands. So English is her second language, but she does speak English, which is great. We just need to all remember that, and we're going to try and not talk over one another. We're going to have one person speaking at a time where possible so that it can be easier for both of them and all of us. And we're going to try and speak slowly and clearly, and I'm personally going to try and speak towards them, especially for Teresa to be able to read my lips. So if you need me to slow down at all, just raise your hand and let me know. Or if you need me to repeat anything, let me know. I also have some printed out versions with notes for you. Okay, so you can follow the written words of it as well if you would like. Now, to get to know each other, we're going to use the whiteboard here. We're all going to write our name with whichever colour you choose, your favourite colour. And you're going to write underneath that a word that describes your experience or how you feel about first aid and CPR. But it needs to start with the same letter as your name. Okay? So do some brainstorming, think about it. I forgot what my word was. I had it planned, but I'll write it. So I'm gonna write with purple. It's my favorite color. My name is Miranda. And my experience is multifactorial. Factorial. Thank you. Are you a teacher?
Yeah, no.
Wow. Multifactorial. So what that means is that I have experienced first aid in many different environments. I am a nursing student. I've also worked as a first aid responder at events, and I have been the first aid representative at multiple workplaces all over the world. So it's been really great. I am very involved in first aid and I really enjoy it and appreciate it. Multifactorial. Great. So whenever you're ready, you can come up and write your name and a word that describes how your experience you've had that starts with the same letter.
Well, I haven't got many words anyway, starting with K, so I'm just going to go straight in. Okay, K's a hard one. K, I'm going to say klutzy.
That's good. That is
That's all I can think of.
And use pink. I love the pink.
It's just John's a lefty. Can't read it. What?
Oh. Okay. So Jeff has written, Miranda thinks I'm a jerk, which I'm really sorry to hear that, Jeff. And I didn't mean to like single you out then at all during that situation. I don't think you're a jerk. I just thought that what you did wasn't acceptable in my classroom, and that's what I'm responsible for. So if you want to talk about this at another time, we can. I would like you to write your experience with first aid. So I'm going to get rid of that little sentence. If J is too difficult for you to think of, you can write any word you'd like, but I would just like to have an understanding of what your experience with first aid is. So I can even write it if you know the word that you'd like, but the point of this is that I get an understanding of your background. So,
Oh, you let me think about that for a while.
all right.
J's a hard one.
It doesn't have to start with a J.
I thought
Go.
I would think that's what Yeah. Oh yeah. I had one and I was like, I don't even think that makes sense.
What was the word that you thought of?
Indifferent?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
know.
would have said
Inex-
imaginative or something like that.
Yeah. Inexperienced. Oh, I'm not
Good.
inexperienced.
Yeah.
Inexperienced.
There's a few.
Professionally, yeah, sure.
You could do a bracket.
Yeah, that's right.
I am. Is. P. P. R. I. E. N. C. C. D.
Thank you.
Good. So Imogen, the experience will go through these in a moment.
Oh, T's easy.
Now we can talk,
Oh, is
talk
it?
about
No,
Teresa
not
because she
really.
can't hear us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Marlowe's.
Marlos?
Your turn.
So,
You-
Miranda, I'm really having a hard time coming up with a letter that's
That's okay. It doesn't.
help me
I
come
can.
up with some ideas.
Well, I don't know what your experience is, so if you can tell me.
Yeah, well, I'm not a union, I'm not in nursing, so.
Okay. You're still learning. You can write a word that doesn't begin with M. If you can write one in your language, if you know one. Mindful is one that you could do. We are still learning. Be mindful of what you're learning.
I like that one.
Thank you. Cool. Alrighty. Meryl, I think you're next. Oh, sorry.
No.
Well, you know what that means?
Yeah, we'll unpack it in a moment. Yeah.
Yes, explain it then. Mr. Sensitive, Mr. Sensational, suave, sophisticated.
Oh no.
Scary.
Yeah.
Someone's a walking thesaurus.
Yeah.
Sorry, English.
Jeff, have you thought of what your
Yeah.
word
Makes
is?
sense.
Another lefty.
Is she?
Didn't you know that?
Yeah. But I just mean two in this small group.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, great. So we've all written words. So we have, to recap, we have Kay, who is klutzy. So your experience, were you saying earlier that your experience is that you've had a lot of first aid done to you because you've fallen a lot?
Yeah, that too. But yeah, my training has been limited. Yeah,
Mm.
so I feel my knowledge is not really
Mhm.
up to date. Yeah.
That's okay. I like your creativity in your word. All right, and Jeff, you said judgmental or judgments?
Judgments, no, decision making, long when you, anything I've always done in the past is whether it be in charge or anything like that, I've had to make judgments.
Good.
And
Yeah.
that's,
That's good. Imogen, So you've written inexperienced. So have you had some experience with it? Have you had any training before?
Yeah, so I've done a bit of teaching, but I guess at a higher level I'd be still classified as always inexperienced.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Alrighty, and Teresa, you've said teacher or teaching?
Yes, so I have taught some basic life support and CPR.
Great, and you're a nurse?
Yes.
Amazing, good, okay, so you know lots, love that. And Marlo?
So, well, you helped me write mindful, and I would say I chose that because, you know, I'm in another country, you gotta be mindful for myself and others, and sometimes, English being my second language, I revert back to Dutch, so you gotta, like, think, I can't just yell at someone in Dutch, they don't do it in this. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you're mindful in emergency situations. That's great, I love that one. Alright, we have Narelle, you said narrow.
Yes, like a narrow knowledge and experience, mainly with children.
Oh wow, yeah, definitely. And Sam, you said scary.
Pretty scary if you got stuck in this situation. If you had to do something, you'd be pretty scared.
Absolutely, yeah, it is scary, I like that. That's a really good use of the word. And Susie, you said sensitive.
I felt that the only time I've actually been involved in having to do something and respond was when I delivered that baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that afterwards I was quite troubled and upset with what might have happened if the baby hadn't have been delivered correctly, if the cord had been wrapped around, something had gone wrong, and I felt very tearful. And I'm trying to put something in a word that is the same as my name. So S for me, sensitive, but involves a whole lot of what happens if you come across an accident or you come across a situation. Then you know you cope when you're then and there, but then when you go home, I feel very sensitive and teary about what could have happened,
Absolutely.
or if I was in a situation where something went wrong, could I have done something else?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really good word, and there is a lot of support out there for people. If you need to respond to an emergency situation, you can call on different supports for that help. Maybe at the end of the class I can hand those out, or I'll email them to you after the class. That's what I'll do, just so you guys can know. But hopefully we'll never be in those situations, but we'll be prepared in case we are. So I just need to run through a few health and safety situations. So in the event of an emergency evacuation, I am your chief warden, so you'll follow me. So if there's any emergency and we need to evacuate and leave the building, you'll follow me. Our exits are the front door there, just next to Susie, and the back door on the other side of the kitchen. Our emergency gathering area is Kay and Jeff's lawn across the road. And the bathrooms are through the kitchen and to the right. But it should only go for 40 minutes, so if you can hold it, please do. But it's still an adult learning environment, you're more than welcome to leave if you need to say anything. So, in first aid and in CPR, when we're responding to an emergency situation, there's an acronym that we use. Does anyone know what that acronym is? Yes, Imogen?
Doctors ABCD.
Well done. I'll just write it down so that everyone can see it. So she said doctors, DRS, A, B, C, D.
I knew ABCD. Has doctors become newish in the last couple of years?
Yeah.
It's been, I've always had doctor. S got added probably the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never had it without the ABCD, so I'm not sure how long
Going
ago
back
you're-
10 years when I last did
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I was 14 then, so I was not qualified. But yeah, they are always reviewing it and changing it when
good, that's
necessary.
good to
It
see.
is good. So that's why it's good to update. So your CPR, you need to update every year, and your first aid is every 3 years. But you will not get a qualification from this, so if you would like to be qualified, you still need to go and do a course in it. This is just giving you knowledge. Great. So that's our acronym that we will use anytime that we're responding to an emergency. So D is for danger. How do we assess danger?
See, smell,
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
Things around you.
You get a lolly, Susie. You did a great job answering. Sorry, Teresa.
Quite
Okay, you
right
said
hand.
looking.
What's the devil?
Yeah. So, and Imogen, you said the acronyms. You can have one too. Oh man.
Sorry.
So, with that, we use all of our senses. So we want to be watching, we want to be listening, we want to be smelling. Probably don't need to taste anything. Do not lick the patient. Do not lick anything. But you do want to use all of your senses to gather if there's any dangers. What are some dangers that you can think of? Fire, electricity, traffic, yep. Petrol, gas,
A person.
Water.
a person, yeah, someone violent around. Yeah, so many different things that could be a danger. We need to be assessing that and making sure that we're not putting ourselves in danger. Remember, you are number one, okay? You do not put yourself in danger, because if you put yourself in danger, then we could have 2 patients and double the amount of work for someone who comes to save you both, okay? So, great. So we've looked for danger. I've come onto a scene. I've looked for danger. There's none. Can't smell anything. Can't see anything. There's no dangers there. I move on to the next, which is S. No, R. R is the next one. That's for response. Okay. So when we're checking for a response, we want to first start with a verbal request. So we want to say like, "Hello, can you hear me?" Now, Teresa, with you, that might not work. If your hearing aids aren't on, we could say that, you could just be sleeping, and we might not know. Is that something that you've ever thought of before?
Yes, sometimes people can come near me and say something and I don't hear them, and then they're right there and it
Yeah.
scares me, startles me. Yeah.
So that's something that within the hearing impaired community can be quite startling, like you said. So we need to be aware of that. So we do want to start with a verbal request, and then if they don't respond, we start with a very gentle touch. We don't want to go up and be like, "Teresa!" You know, we just want to do a little gentle touch, okay? So it's like a progression. An acronym that I like is COWS. So, can you hear me? Open your eyes. What's your name? Squeeze my hands. We want to do hands because we don't know, they might have had a stroke and one side of their body they can't move and the other side they can. So we want to do both hands so that if only they can move their right side, they still can squeeze and follow that command and show that they can respond. If there's no response, then we move on to the next one, which is S. Does anyone know what S stands for?
Send for help.
Send for help. Well done. So when we send for help, we want to make sure that we're very calm, cool, calm, and collected. So this is where it can get a bit scary. So you've found someone lying on the ground, you've gone to check on them, they're not responding, they're not waking up, suddenly people are gathering, and it's like, "Oh my gosh, someone's on the ground and they're unconscious, are they dead? We don't know what to do." You know, people can get quite panicky. So this is where you, as a first aid responder, you need to be cool, calm, and collected. It is your responsibility to delegate who does what. So this is where I would say, "Sam, can you call 000?" We want to point and tell one person. Even if you don't know the name, you can say, "Hey, guy in the Carlton shirt, can you please call 000?" And that's his job, because he's the only one in the Carlton shirt. He calls 000. We do that because we don't want 8 ambulances showing up, right? We don't need that. We just need one. So we're going to delegate that. We also want a defibrillator. So we can delegate that. We say, "Imogen, can you go find a defibrillator?" And that way we're covered. We've sent for help and an ambulance is on their way. Love that. Okay? Make sure you do not hang up when you call 000 either. They will talk you through what to do until they get there. It's really great. All right. Once help has been called, we move on to the rest. We're going to watch a video now. Actually, we'll do this first. So, what if no one else is around? What do? If you're find someone, you go to send for help, and no one's there.
Do it yourself.
You can do it yourself. What can we do? What can I do?
Call 000.
I can call 000. I have a mobile phone. Raise your hand if you have a mobile phone. Right. Do you have two? Yeah.
So my question is, in the Netherlands, the emergency number is 112.
Mm-hmm.
So what if my instinct is to write 112 in the phone? What happens?
Good news. 112 is an international number. You can dial 112 in any country in the world if you don't know what their emergency number is, and it will reroute it to their emergency number. So it doesn't matter if you're in America and it's 911, but you dial 112, it'll reroute it to 911. Here, if you dialed 112, it would reroute it to 000. Our number is 000, so you can try and remember that, that's good. most people around here would know as well, but if you dial 112, that's actually an international number to help everyone be able to reach emergency services if they need it. That's good. That's okay. Yeah, so we would dial 000 or 112 if you're in a different country. These same rules apply. 112, that's fine. And we could put it on speakerphone, right? All right. And what if there is a danger?
Don't do anything until it's
Don't do it. You don't do it, right? You don't put yourself at risk, okay? It's not our responsibility, or it is our responsibility, to keep ourselves safe, okay? We don't put ourselves at risk. If the danger subsides or goes away, we can go and attend to them and help them. But until then, we don't run into a fire just to save them because it puts us at risk, okay? Same goes, I put here as an example, swimming. If you don't know how to swim or you don't know how to swim very well and someone's in the water, don't put yourself at risk by going out to swim and save them if that's not something that you're capable of. So everyone has different dangers as well. And we've spoken about this. What if someone's deaf? We would just be gentle. That's why you start with a gentle touch after the verbal command.
I would be thinking that.
Hello,
Sorry.
this health sketch.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I would be thinking that I would be having the gentle touch when I'm asking a hearing impaired person.
But you don't know
You
if they're
don't
hearing
know.
impaired, if they're unconscious.
So you would just have to gentle touch
Oh,
everyone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you don't know if they're hearing impaired. That's why you start with the verbal as you're approaching. So as you're approaching, we'll pretend Juddy is a patient. Okay? As you're approaching, you'd say, hello, are you okay? What's your name? Can you hear me? And she'll respond. And then if she doesn't respond, you would lightly touch and see if she would respond to that. So that's why you start. It's all a process. And if you accidentally did your gentle touch along with it because you're maternal in nature and you are that's just how you're comforting them in case they are just sleeping or you want to make sure they know they're okay, that's okay. No one's going to say you did it wrong. That's okay. Just generally you want to try and start with verbal just in case they're sleeping and then go on to a gentle touch and then go on to a more urgent like, oh wow, are you okay? Wake up, and then we move on. So it's okay, but you don't know if they're hearing impaired and generally. So you start with verbal. Okay. All right, we'll watch this video. Got closed captions on as well.
Thank you.
We want to talk to you about CPR, which stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. We use CPR when someone has collapsed and is not breathing because it can keep people alive until emergency services arrive. Learning these simple life-saving skills is as easy as ABC. All you have to remember is the doctor's ABC. D is for danger. First, look around carefully to make sure the area is safe for yourself and others before approaching. R is for response. Shake them gently by the shoulders and ask them loudly, are you all right? If there is no response, you need to. S, shout for help, as any assistance will be helpful. A is for airway. Gently tilt the head back like this to open up the airway. B is for breathing. Look, listen, and feel for signs of normal breathing. Look for normal chest movements. Listen for normal breathing sounds. And try to feel their breath against your face. Do this for no more than 10 seconds. If there is no sign of breathing, or if they are breathing in an unusual, noisy way, we need to start CPR. First, make sure that an ambulance is on its way. If you have someone with you, ask them to make the call. Putting the phone on speaker mode is useful as the ambulance service can talk you through the steps. C is for circulation. Circulation means the flow of blood around the body, and when the heart stops pumping, we need to take over this role by pushing down hard and fast on the chest. Start by placing the heel of one hand at the center of the person's chest and interlock your fingers like this. With arms straightened, press down hard and fast, letting the chest come back up fully each time. Fast means around 2 times every second. And hard means that the chest needs to go down by about 5 centimeters. This might sound a lot, but you do need to push hard for it to be effective. If you have been trained, you can give 2 rescue breaths after every 30 compressions, as this helps provide some oxygen. However, if you have not been trained or are not comfortable, just keep going with hands-only continuous chest compressions. If someone else is with you, swap over if you begin to feel tired, and don't stop until either a health professional takes over or the person is definitely breathing normally. Sometimes we can add another step. D. D is for defibrillation, which is about delivering a shock to restart the heartbeat. Some public areas and workplaces have an easy-to-use defibrillator on site called an automatic external defibrillator, or AED. Automatic means that it is the machine that decides what to do, so we can't go wrong, and it even talks you through the steps. If there is no AED available, keep going with CPR until the ambulance arrives. That's it. So to recap, remember doctor's ABC, and if you have it, D. That's D for danger, R for response, S, shout for help, A for airway, B for breathing, C for circulation, and D for defibrillation. In this health sketch, we've shown you the simple steps you can take to help someone who has collapsed, is not breathing, or not breathing normally. Why not take a training course to practice?
We are taking a training course. Okay, so A stands for airway. So we go into a situation, we have assessed for danger. There's no danger, so we are able to attend to the scene. We go and we check for response. We verbally ask them, we do a little gentle touch, we do a more urgent shake, there's no response. Then we send for help. We get an ambulance and a defibrillator. Then we move on to A, which is airway. So this sketch here shows you why it's important to do the head tilt and chin lift. You can see here, this is the tongue, okay? That's it relaxed, blocking the airway. That's the most common airway obstruction in a situation like this. When you do the head tilt and chin lift, you can see that the tongue is pushed back into its normal position, like where it is right now. Our tongues are not blocking our airways right now. It's sitting quite happily in our mouth. So that just helps to relocate it and to open the airway up again, okay? So the tongue is the most common. What other obstructions do you think there could be in the airway?
Vomit.
Vomit? Yeah, absolutely.
Food.
Yeah, food's super common.
Blood.
Blood? Yeah, good job. Blood and teeth. Well done, Sam. Yeah, so they're pretty much it. Blood, teeth, food, vomit. Delicious. Great combination. So if it's their tongue, the head tilt chin lift should help. If it's not just the tongue and there's something else, you want to be rolling them over and scooping it out. Now, one thing that I want to give you guys some guidance on is if you put your fingers in their mouth, there is a chance they could clench down and bite off your finger. They say that the force to bite off a finger is the same to bite into a carrot. I don't want my fingers to be a carrot. So what I have learned is that you can use their fingers like a little shovel, and you use it to scoop the teeth or the blood or whatever you can, if you can, to scoop it out. You use it like a little puppet. Okay, so that's what I recommend. Other places will tell you to use your own fingers. I just don't ever intend to put my fingers inside someone else's mouth, especially when they're unconscious. We're also in a pandemic, so I don't think that that's the best idea anyway. Okay, so once we made sure that the airway is clear, we move on to the next. Who remembers what B was for?
Breathing.
Breathing, good job. Alrighty, so for breathing, you want to check for no more than 10 seconds, okay? So we're going to look, listen, and feel. We're going to get down. I'm going to show you on my little example dummy. Now, when you do CPR courses, they have little dummies that they use as examples, and it helps you place it because it looks like someone's chest and everything. For us, I don't have that at this venue, unfortunately, but I've made some out of pillows. But the plate where you place your hands when you do CPR is generally on someone's sternum, and it's generally in between someone's nipples, especially like on a man or someone. Obviously it's different for some women, but if they were perky nipples, then you'd want to place them in between those, okay, in the middle of the sternum. So to help you remember, I have made these little dummies. These are their nipples to remind you. So anytime you need to do CPR, you can think of these pillows with these nipples, and you remember to put your hands in between them. So for this, we are going to look, listen, and feel. So I'm going to get down close to him. His head's here. So I'm going to have my face, my cheek really close to his head. I'm going to have my hand on his chest, and I'm still doing the head tilt to keep his airway open. I am looking for the rise and fall of his chest. I am listening for breath sounds, and I am feeling for the warm air on my cheek and the rise and fall of the chest. Okay? So you want to look, listen, and feel for no more than 10 seconds. 10 seconds, they should do a breath. If they don't do a breath in 10 seconds, but they still are breathing, maybe they do a breath every 15 seconds, it means that it is not regular breathing, okay? So that means that they're not breathing appropriately. So we're either looking for no breath sounds or abnormal breath sounds. So it could be gasping. Sometimes people sound like, that's not normal breath sounds. That's not delivering the right oxygen. That's not okay. There's some other different types of breath sounds as well. You'll have 000 on the phone though. So if you're not sure, you can ask them. You can let them listen. You can say, this is what it sounds like, or you can mimic it, and they'll guide you on to what to do. But if there is no breath sounds or there is abnormal breath sounds, you move on to the next step, which is, well, they told you in the video it was circulation. We refer to it as CPR. We don't check for circulation here in Australia as the general public. Teresa is a nurse, I'm sure you guys do. You do cardiac assessments and you check for pulses and blood pressure and all that. We, as the general public, do not do that. If they are unconscious with a clear airway but they're not breathing, we assume that their heart is not beating or it's not beating effectively. Therefore, we go straight into CPR. So CPR is an emergency life-saving procedure, and it keeps a person alive until help can come. So what it does is you put oxygen into their bloodstream by doing rescue breaths, and then you pump that around their body by doing compressions. That helps to keep their brain alive, which tells their heart and their lungs to keep breathing, as well as all the other tissues and organs in their body. You just are saving their life, because otherwise they would die, because they wouldn't get oxygen and blood wouldn't be flowing. Okay, so the steps for CPR. It shows you here that we're going to do 30 compressions and then 2 rescue breaths, and you keep repeating until either they wake up or help arrives, or you can no longer do it anymore. So I'm going to show you how to do the compressions. So you kneel next to your patient. You kneel next to your patient. You want to be close to the chest, okay? You don't want to be off to the side anywhere, okay? You want to be in line with their chest, kind of in line with their nipples as well. You want to place the heel of your hand at the lower part of their sternum, generally in between the nipples. You can all feel your sternum as well. It's that hard bit in the middle of your chest, okay? Place your heel there. You interlock your fingers, okay? Now, you also want to keep your elbows straight. We don't want to be doing this. You will get so tired if you do this. It will not be effective. You want to have straight arms because you need to push hard. You need to push 1/3 of the chest depth. It needs to go deep. So to do that effectively, you're going to need your whole body to get into it. So you're going to be like this, and you're going to be pushing really hard. You want to do it really fast as well. It needs to be 100 to 120 beats per minute. That's about 2 compressions per second. It's going to be very fast. So you want to be fast and you want to be hard. Straight arms with interlocked fingers. We're going to do 30 of those, and then we're going to move on to 2 rescue breaths. You do the head tilt, chin lift, squeeze their nose, and you deliver 2 rescue breaths. You breathe, and then you let the air come out. And you breathe, and you let the air come out, and you go back into 30 more chest compressions. So as you can see, 30 compressions, 2 breaths, okay? You also want to make sure that you count it. I know that it can be difficult if English isn't your main language. It is my main language, and I still couldn't count 1, 2, 3, 4. I couldn't count all the way up to 30 while doing this. So if you need to count in your native language, that's fine. And then when you get to the end, if you can say 28, 29, 30, even if, what's 28, 29, 30 in Dutch? No, that's okay. Great, you don't need to. I think you could say 28, 29, 30 in English.
Yeah.
Yeah, that good. Okay. So if you can just remember to say that, that means that if there's a bystander around who you're going to swap with, they're prepared. They know that it's coming because you're the one who's been counting it. Okay? A lot of people say, what if I lose count? That's okay if you lose count. If you've lost count, you can just keep going. It's better to do more chest compressions rather than less. Okay? It's okay. So we are going to practice this. We're just going to do one round of 30 chest compressions. And firstly, our person doesn't have a head. Secondly, we're in a pandemic, so we're not going to do practice. We're not going to do rescue breaths, but we can say them. We're going to say 1 breath, 2 breath, and that's it. Okay, so we're going to do 30 chest compressions and 2 rescue breaths. So I'm going to distribute some chests. Here you go. Here's a hairy chest.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm hoping to get this one.
Here you go. I think you got a firm one last time as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think some people still have theirs. Yeah. Alrighty, so we're just going to do 30. If you have bad knees or anything, you don't need to get on the floor. You guys might be able to stand up rather than doing it sitting down. I want everyone to get involved still. Yeah, so if you don't want to get on the ground, that's okay. You can stand up and do it because remember we want to have straight arms, okay? We want to do it hard and we want to do it fast, okay? So interlock your fingers, heel of your hand in the middle of the end of the sternum, in between the nipples. Ready? Really hard. Yep. 30 chest compressions. Go. You really want to lean into it. Good. Well done.
Because
Alrighty.
a body
Good.
would be harder, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a body would be harder. It's going to be very hard. Alrighty. Well done, 30. Well done. You can hand me back your chests. Thank you.
I think mine.
Good job. Thank you. Oh, good. Okay. Thank you.
Jay. Leave the camera.
So as Mirella pointed out,
Leave the camera.
a body, do you want to keep your hairy man?
It's my notes.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like that. You can keep that. So as Mirella pointed out, a body would be harder. We're definitely harder. We have bones. We've got ribs. You've got all this stuff that you have to push through. But a pillow gives you a good idea of like putting that force and having to move something. But one thing I wanted to bring up about ribs is that they'll probably break. That's okay. If you're doing CPR on someone and their rib breaks, that's okay. A broken rib is nothing compared to death. We'd rather have a broken rib and be able to recover from that and live a full life afterwards rather than them not die because their heart's not beating and they're not breathing. So the benefit outweighs the risk. It's okay to break the ribs, that will happen. Okay, these are some myths that are associated with CPR. So some people think that if you don't save their life, you'll be legally accountable. That's not true. There's the Good Samaritans Act that covers you. You are safe if you don't save someone's life or if you do everything you think you can, that's fine. The myth is that you can contract HIV or AIDS from saliva. It's very low risk, but if you do not want to give rescue breaths, you do not have to. You can do compression only CPR. That is definitely way better than no CPR at all. So if you don't like the risk of that, even if it is low, you don't need to do rescue breaths. Even now in a pandemic with COVID, you don't need to do rescue breaths. That's okay. That's for you to decide not to. In fact, hospitals are not doing rescue breaths right now because of that. So it's okay if you don't want to, not a problem. That's the same thing, you don't have to rescue breaths. This myth says that if you don't have access to a defibrillator, there's no chance of survival, but CPR will help to save someone's life until a defibrillator is available, and sometimes it is enough on its own and they don't need a defibrillator. So you definitely should still do CPR even if you don't have a defibrillator with you or around. It says you need to be very strong to do compressions. Incorrect. As we just did, you just need to use your entire body. If you're trying to pump with your elbows bent, it's not going to work. But if you use your whole body, it'll be good. We've spoken about cracking a rib. That's okay. You crack those ribs and you keep going. You save their life. Okay? You can kill someone by doing CPR incorrectly. If you do CPR on someone whose heart is beating, yes, you can definitely do bad things. We don't want to mess with a good thing. If their heart's beating, I'm not going to start doing CPR in Edmonton just because it seems like fun. Don't do that. But if they are unconscious, their airway's clear, they're not breathing, they need CPR. So even if you do it slightly wrong, if you've forgotten and you don't do it in the correct place, or you have positioned your body wrong, doing it how you think you should is better than not doing it at all. Otherwise, you're just going to leave them and you're going to be like, well, they're not breathing, this is unfortunate, I'll just stand here and watch. There's no point in that. You need to do everything you can to save them, and you'll be protected by the Good Samaritan Act. You shouldn't do CPR on a stranger, it would be inappropriate. This one links with the one that says that you shouldn't do CPR on a female if you're male. They're both wrong. You can do CPR on anyone. You should do CPR on anyone who needs it. You are all trained to do it now. You should definitely do it if you can. It will save their life. Regardless of strangers or male or female, you are trying to save their life. That goes far beyond any social standards, right? We need to do CPR to save people's lives regardless of who they are if we know them. You must have a mask to do CPR. What they're saying with that is a mask that you can have like little keychain ones, and you bring it with you, and it's portable, so you don't have to have your face, you don't have to do mouth to mouth. You have a barrier to protect you. You don't need a mask, you can do mouth to mouth, but if you don't want to, like we said before, you can do compression only CPR, that's not a problem. And then you can't do CPR if you haven't had any training. That's not true either. You guys have now had training, not getting a certificate from it, but you have had training. If you were to meet someone, if you're a bystander, and they had no idea how to do CPR, you are able to coach them. You're able to say, yeah, strong arms, interlock, hard and fast. Anything's better than nothing. So you can do CPR. If you're doing it out of good faith to try and help them and save them, you can and should do it. Okay. So, defibrillator. I'm going to watch a video about it quickly, but it's very user-friendly. It's just something that I want to point out. It tells you exactly how to do it. It talks to you. It has little diagrams on stickers that tell you exactly where to stick it on the person, and it talks you through everything. It tells you to keep doing compressions. It tells you to clear when they need to assess. It tells you to clear when they need to shock. It also won't shock you. Some people are really hesitant. They're like, oh, I don't want to touch it. What if I get electrocuted? You will not get shocked because it doesn't do that. It also won't shock the patient unless it's a shockable rhythm. So only certain heart rhythms can be shocked, and it assesses that. That's what its job is, as an automatic external defibrillator, an AED. So it'll do everything. So I'm going to watch this just quickly to see how they work.
This is a defibrillator. It can save someone's life, but only if you use it. A defibrillator is an easy-to-use device. You don't need any training to use it, because it will tell you exactly what to do. Shock advised. Its job is to shock someone's heart back into a normal rhythm during cardiac arrest. However, it will only instruct you to deliver a shock if this is needed. If you find someone unconscious, unresponsive and not breathing, or not breathing normally, they're in cardiac arrest. It's important to act immediately because their heart is no longer pumping blood to their brain and around the body. The first thing to do is call 999 and start CPR.
Or 112.
The emergency operator will talk you through what to do and tell you where the nearest defibrillator can be found. If there's someone else around, ask them to go and get it. Defibrillators are normally located in workplaces and public spaces like airports, shopping centres, community centres and train stations. They may be labelled PAD, Public Access Defibrillator, or AED, Automated External Defibrillator, and anyone can use them in an emergency. The defibrillator will assess their heart rhythm and will only tell you to shock them if they need it. Shock advised. So you can't do any harm by using one. If a shock is needed, this will try and reset the electrical system in their heart to get it beating normally again. When used with CPR, defibrillators give the best chance of survival. So, When you witness someone in cardiac arrest, take action. Start CPR and find a defibrillator as soon as possible. For more information on defibrillators, visit bhf.org.uk/defibs.
Great. So that just explains how defibs work and why they're important. Like it said, they're in many public places. So you'll find them at shopping centres, sporting complexes, lots of businesses, big businesses have them, and they are accessible for us to use. So, a final page of what if. So what if they have blood around their mouth? What do I do then?
Don't do it.
You don't have to do rescue breaths. Yep. That is much higher chance of contracting anything that they might have. You do not do rescue breaths if there's blood around their mouth. What if I get tired? When can I stop?
When you're exhausted, when you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, when you're exhausted and you physically can't. We do not want you getting hurt or passing out because you are so exhausted and you've done so much CPR. Okay, if you've done everything you can, there's no one around to take over, you can stop when you need to. Okay, you are protected in that. But if you have started CPR and then you've just decided, oh, actually I have an appointment that I have to get to and no one's showed up to take over from me, so I'm just going to skedaddle. You are liable then. Okay, so if you decide to stop and help someone, you must stay until help arrives, and you can't stop CPR until you've become physically and utterly exhausted and cannot do it anymore. That's it. Do we have any other questions? No? Great. So I'm going to get you guys to fill out a learner review survey and just sign a sheet of attendance, and then we're all done. I'll just turn off our video. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So comfortable.